Today on the channel from Jack's Classic Superstars Series 21, we've got Tazz and Buff Bagwell.
The spirit of Olympian Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Jack's Classic Superstars unboxing and review. And today from Series 21, we've got Tazz and we've got Buff Bagwell. But remember, for all your modern day wrestling figure needs, to hit up Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%. And of course, we're going to do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging, we're going to talk about it, we're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And without further ado, let's start it off with old Tazz. ECW favorite Tazz, of course. This isn't quite our favorite ECW version of Tazz, though. The best defining Jack's Class Superstars Tazz, I guess you could say the 2-pack with our RVD, but the Ringside Collectibles exclusive Tazz is the most iconic Tazz, of course. This one's a little bit interesting, as this is more kind of WWE time frame of Tazz, and this was in Series 21, of course, doing Series 21 here today. So it is a little different that the most popular version of Tazz is an exclusive, and a kind of off the beaten path, off the beaten roads Tazz is just a regular line. So I don't know, I guess there's something to be said both ways on that. But this is an interesting one, just nowhere near as iconic as the Tazz, of course, as the Ringside Collectible one. And we will talk about that one on the channel eventually, so stay tuned for that one as well. Without further ado, let's take a look at the packaging on old Tazz. There he is. He's got his shirt on. He's got his glasses. I believe that's ECW heavyweight title here. Yes, it is the ECW belt. So I guess, I mean, it is the ECW Tazz, but it's not. Maybe it's that crossover time when he beat Mike Awesome for the title. Maybe we can count it as that. I don't know. Who knows? But it is Tazz. A favorite of mine. Of course, Tazz still getting figures all these years later, as we just recently unboxed the AEW figure of Tazz. And we got more Tazzes to come, I'm sure, in the future. There's Tazz, the old glamour shot. And Tazz on the side is a 2 Z's. Tazz with 2 Z's. So it's WWE Tazz, I always say. And I don't know, I just said it now, so I guess I always say it. And then on the back, we got the big cross-sell. We'll be unboxing all those guys on the channel, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. But there you go. UPC's warnings, tail of the tape, the blurb, the glamour shot for Tazz. Let's see what it says about him. Weight 240 pounds, 5'9". Finishing move, the good old Tazz mission, a favorite, of course. Titles, ECW Champion, FTW Champion, World Tag Team Champion, Hardcore Champion, and ECW Tag Team Champion. And of course, Tazz, me being an old school ECW guy, loved everything Tazz and ECW. Loved him with Sabu, especially. That was some of my favorite stuff. Shane Douglas feud was a very good one. I really popped huge for the Mike Awesome title victory. That was a crazy time. What a time to be alive that one was. But Tazz, one of my all-time favorites. I'll put it that much. Not on my Mount Rushmore, not my top 10, but just outside of the top 10, let's call it. But without further ado, let's get him out of the package here. This is Series 21. I should check, make sure everything looks the same. He does match up. It looks like he matches up with his prototype image on the back. Yeah, it does match up, so I like that even more. But let's get him out of the package here. Oh, there it is. For science. Pull him out. There it is. Goodbye. See you later. And then we get Tazz in the plastic prison. He's got his sunglasses as well. Look at that. Just looking mean. Looking like a fighting machine, old Tazz. He's going to lock in that Tazz mission, and we're going to be off to the races. There goes Tazz right there. See you later. Goodbye. Let's go these accessories first. We do get the ECW Championship. These Jack's titles, the just plain Jane Jack's Class Superstars titles, as I've said many times, not for me. So hard to even see what this is. You got to like look at it and stare at it and catch it in the right light to even know what you're really looking at. So I'm not a big fan of that title belt. The sunglasses here, I guess black sunglasses for Tazz. It is what it is. I mean, Tazz wore sunglasses. I don't know if these are quite the sunglasses he wore, but I guess it's a free accessory, kind of. And you pay for it at the end of the day, but you know what I mean. But then we get Tazz, and I do like the feel of this Tazz. I feel he's a little bit smaller. That feels right. He's, you know, just his normal Tazz self. Big, bulky, but smaller. And that's how this figure actually feels. He does got a little of that Finley head problem that we always talk about with the Ruthless Aggression figures, where Finley's head's just permanently down in all of his figures. Tazz got a little of that going on here. You can't move his head up, so he's just kind of facing down, like he's looking at the ground at all times. So that is a little bit strange, but a good Tazz. Got a little hair on the side, but you got the patented black mohawk going on, the black goatee, the mean mugging face. He was always mean mugging. You rarely got a smile out of old Tazz, as we know. But of course, the head goes side to side, arms go all the way around, bicep cut, single jointed elbow, wrist back and forth, waist cut. You do get a little bit of splits just going forward, single jointed knee, ankles up and down. That is it. Hate to see those orange pins in there. That is quite the eyesore. Of course, we're still fighting that in this modern day with action figures. He does got that racing stripe down his pants here. It's got the orange, of course, for Tazz. You got the Tazz logo on there for the eyes with the 13, so that is really cool. Then you get the mouth of the dog with the 13 logo inside. You do got Tazz's tattoos throughout here, so there is some attention to detail to this Tazz. But like I said, it's not the iconic Tazz in his singlet look. This is more WWE Tazz is really what this feels like. Let's put these glasses on and see how these look. These glasses never fit that good. They look a little weird. They look a little suspect on Tazz, but it definitely is Tazz. I've never had this loose in my collection until now. It's okay. It's okay. You can smoke and mirrors it. You can justify it to yourself like I'm trying to do. But at the end of the day, it is not the most iconic version of Tazz, but it is still Tazz. A guy I feel that it's a little bit criminally underrated in action figures. I felt like we should have got maybe a few more in the time of his Jakks days. I hate that ECW Moo Moo wearing TTL like one we got. That was probably his worst figure of all time. One day maybe we'll do a Tazz top 5, and I won't even have that one probably on the list, but we'll see what happens. But Tazz looking good right here. I'm here for that. Now we turn our attention to a bit of a controversial one. Marcus Alexander Bagwell, the handsome stranger, or just Buff Daddy Buff Bagwell. My first incarnation dealing with him was, I was probably 9, 10 years old, and him on the GWF as the handsome stranger. And I remember even as a little kid looking at him like, that does absolutely nothing for me. Why has he got this little Zorro mask on? He's handing roses to the ladies. I don't like this guy. Put some face paint on. This isn't even a mask. What are we doing here? And then he did jump over to WCW. Him and Scotty Riggs, quite the tag team. We all know that song, the American Males, into the NWO, all that kind of stuff. So an interesting career. Not a ton of figures. Of course, he got a couple of Toy Biz, I think, back in the day, at least one of them. But then in the Jakks Classic, he got this one. He also got a Deluxe Classic, and that was it. Nothing else. And we, till this day, we still have not got a Marcus Alexander Bagwell, a Buff Bagwell, whatever you want to call him. We haven't got a figure. So no Mattel Elites, no Jazzwares, no FTCs, nothing at this point. Which makes this figure in his Deluxe Classic a little bit more valuable because he just hasn't been represented in action figure form in a long, long time. They're getting harder and rarer to find, of course. So a little interesting. I don't know if we would call him a Hall of Famer, but he definitely had a moment in the sun. Wasn't he in Vicious and Delicious with Scott Norton? I thought that was his zenith for me. That was my favorite, probably, incarnation of him ever. I loved that tag team idea. Him kind of underneath the Outsiders as another NWO tag team feuding for doing things. That worked for me as a younger man, and it works for me now. But Buff Bagwell, an interesting one. This is NWO version Buff Bagwell, so I can see a lot of people putting this with their Mattel Elite, smoking and mirrors it in there. He does got that choker chain that says NWO, and then he's got the armband that says NWO. So you know he's NWO for life. He's doubling up right there. He does come with a cookie sheet. Oh, he always makes a hot plate of cookies before every show, I heard. There was a little magic in those cookies, what I was told as well. So you got to be careful. Buyer beware. But there's old Buff Bagwell. He does come with his patented top hat he used to wear back in the day. There he is on the side, looking only like Alexander Bagwell could look, or Buff Bagwell. Buff Daddy, Buff Bagwell on the side. On the back, you got UPCs, you got warnings, you got the cross-sell, you got the blurb, you got the tail of the tape, and you got the glamour shot. And let's see what it says about our old friend, Buff Bagwell. 247 pounds, 6'1", finishing move, the Buff Blockbuster, which was a cool move for its time, still a cool move. Titles, WCW Tag Team Champion, and that's it. The copyright guy, he took the rest of the week off. So we later series of classics that we're into really start with Series 20. We didn't get a whole lot of blurbs, didn't get a whole lot of stuff on the back here, which is unfortunate. You guys know how much I love a good blurb. But let's get old Buff Bagwell out of the package. Like I said, it pains me. This is quite the valuable figure all these years later. But we'll get it out. So there it is. See you later. Goodbye. And we got Buff is the stuff. We got the hat, we got the cookie sheet, we got the figure. There it is. I'm gonna pop this out. Pop this out. We're gonna throw cookies around. And we're gonna pull it out of the plastic prison. Up high. See you later. Towards the sky. Now the cookie sheet we've seen many a times before. You got a little face going on, but this one's got a little bit more warpage than the usual cookie sheet. So this thing was extra dented. I'm guessing Scott Norton used this. He must have. And speaking of Scott Norton, he does have an FTC figure that scales pretty good with this. You could recreate Vicious and Delicious if you really needed to, but we do get that. Then we get the old Buff top hat here. That's quite the accessory for sure. It's a big old top hat. Looks like he's about ready to join the circus. Maybe, who knows? We'll see. But then we break down the figure here. And this figure does feel very strange in hand. It feels very lopsided. I don't know. Something about this. Lance Storm we're going to talk about here in a few more sets. He always kind of felt that way as well. But he's got a weird angle here to his legs. And it looks like the right leg's a little longer than the left. Maybe not. Maybe it's my eyes just playing tricks on me or whatever. But he just feels lopsided. It's just a weird figure. And then maybe it's the skinny but very big large head on him with the skinnier body. It just feels like the proportions are all wrong on this figure. But that being said, we don't get a whole lot of Buff Bagwells, so it is one of those ones you got to celebrate a little bit, because this is the best really representation we've received up to this point and till forever most likely. So this does work. Of course, articulation is going to be the exact same as Tazz. I did point out the armband there, NWO, choker chain NWO. He does got his tattoo on his arm, and then you got NWO on the tights on both sides, down to his black boots and things like that. But boy, is this an interesting one. How well does this top hat fit? Oh, it doesn't fit at all. Perfect. This is terrible. So this doesn't even fit on his head, this top hat. So it's interesting they would go to all the work to make this sculpt of a top hat, but not even make this work to even fit on his head. So I guess he's just going to carry it around. That's what you're going to have to do with it. A very strange accessories. And Jakks, every once in a while, they did some strange stuff, as we know. People usually say, that's so Jakks. I get it, but sometimes you get some serious head scratchers, and that's what we got right here with Buff Bagwell. I'm not sure what to think about it. Looking at the head sculpt on this one, though, definitely all day long. It's old Buff Daddy. Somebody hands you this head, you're going to say, oh, there's Buff Bagwell. What's he up to? And it does look like him all day long, so I'm okay with that. It is a good figure, just a weird body. It's weird how tall he is. I mean, he towers over Tazz, which... you know, that might not be too far from the truth, of course. But it is an interesting figure at the end of the day. And as of right now, I'm going to say it is the best Buff Bagwell figure we've ever received. This is probably the best one. The classic, deluxe classic, it's in red. It's a little different. It's just not as maybe iconic as this one, if that is even a thing. But it's all right. But there it is. That's Tazz. That's Buff Bagwell. Any thoughts from you guys out there on Jakks Class Superstars Series 21, Tazz and Buff Bagwell? An interesting one. I don't know. If I had to pick, I'm probably going with Tazz just because I'm a bigger Tazz fan than Marcus Bagwell. But Tazz, they both got some goods. They both got some bads. I wouldn't say by any means either of these figures are perfect. The most frustrating thing being the hat. But you guys sound off in the comments with your thoughts on these two. And anything else you want to talk about Jakks Class Superstars in the comments down below. And don't forget to like this video. You made it this far. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. And then, of course, don't forget about the Patreon, where you can get this video many months ahead of traditional YouTube. You get bonus content, early content, be a part of monthly giveaways, a lot going on, and best of all, you do support the channel over there at the Patreon. And then don't forget ProWrestlingTees.com. You can support the channel. And then don't forget to follow me on social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for Tazz and Buff Bagwell, I'm Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon.